So as you can witness now from the media, from the news, the world is changing, and it's changing rapidly, and in some instances also radically. And our vision of sustainability-oriented entrepreneurship, in terms of impact entrepreneurship, is that entrepreneurs must not only be able to adapt to this change, to deal with this change. So if supply chains are changing, if there are scarcities, if there are problems, how to adapt, how to deal with this. Yeah. Business depends on the availability of resources. It's a strategic topic, but it's also a sustainability topic. So entrepreneurs must be able to adapt to these changing circumstances. But at the same time, we expect entrepreneurs graduating from ESCP to also become drivers of change. And of course, drivers of positive change. And this is where we derive this notion of impact from, which means to change, to actively change and influence the system in a positive way. And this could mean, for example, that you make offers which make consumers make better choices for more sustainable products and services, for example. Change in terms of helping suppliers to change their sourcing practices, for example, to integrate social responsibility in their supply chains. So impact entrepreneurship has these two elements: adapting to change, being agile, flexible, resilient, but also causing change, positive change, which in the very best case contributes to sustainable development. So there's a lot to talk about when we talk about impact entrepreneurship and its subtypes in terms of sustainability entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, technology entrepreneurship. We have to talk about what is impact. Is impact the same like outcome, output? It's not. So, but it's a complicated debate, and that's the debate we're having in the classroom. How does innovation relate to all of this? So in our interpretation, innovation is a means to an end. Innovation is not the purpose. The purpose is to innovate for change. A lot to talk about. And as you can see here, we not just refer to innovation, but we refer to values-based innovation. I think Leila remembers the sessions we had on values. Would you like to comment on this?
Yeah, definitely. Values is such an important topic when it comes to sustainability, because sustainability is not about only doing bringing some impact and turnovers, but rather building something based on the values that we carry actually everywhere in societies, in nations, in our families and cultures. That's something that we never discuss, but actually it's always somewhere in us. And sustainability is highly dependent on the values because it's shaped due to the values we have and embed in our system.
Yeah, we as human beings, we are connected. We care about things. And the moment in which we connect to what we care about, we become better innovators. We become better entrepreneurs. And now, I mean, the program is running now for many years, but it's every year, it's the same kind of interesting moments when students have this aha moments in class, because most of them for the first time are really in a systematic way thinking about their values. And then the interesting question is, what kind of trajectory, does this create for myself? What kind of innovator, what kind of entrepreneur can I become based on my values? The specialized masters at ESCP in Berlin are 2-year programs. We have a trimester structure. So every year has these 3 segments. And we can now look at the first year, term 1, 2, and 3. And in this first year, we are building the foundations. We have, of course, also fundamental topics like strategic management. Every entrepreneur needs to know about, how to deal with competition, how to set up a strategy which helps surviving in the market. Because at the end of the day, it's still about commercial entrepreneurship. I mean, we are now opening the program more also to social entrepreneurship, which is to be conceived as kind of a leveraged, sometimes even donation-based entrepreneurship. But still, you need strategy. You need funding strategies, you need market strategies, you need competitive strategies. So in the second term, we dive deeper into the term of impact from a more methodical and accounting perspective. It's interesting to talk about impact in conceptual terms, like I would like to change society in this way or another way. But at the end of the day, how can we measure if we are successful in this, right? And here we need methods. We need a lot of entrepreneurial methods. We need accounting methods. And of course, we have to understand how to finance all of this. And this is continued in term 3, where we go deeper into the topic of metrics and financing, but also add a new element or an additional element, which is intercultural management and leadership. So that's the foundations part, I would call it, of the program. Yeah, it accounts for a lot of the ECTS, but that's not all happening in year 1. Year 1 is ending on a study trip. So at the moment, we cannot really say where we will go in 2027. But this year, Leila's group will be brought to Norway, where we will do a one week study trip in July. So that's kind of a little how to say, you earned it. After year 1, you earned to do a nice trip. So if we look at the bottom of the presentation of this illustration, there is an element called the Impact Venture Development Project. And that's kind of a 1-year journey, and it literally starts the moment you arrive at campus. So you will form a team, and this team will work for 1 year on a project. You do a lot of empirical research, ethnographic work, conceptual work, business modeling, financial planning, and so on, with the goal of having a very mature, very strong business proposal at the end of year 1. This is, Leila, you just finished the first part of this journey. You still have 2 more segments ahead of you. But the big first climax, so to speak, is the presentation of what you have developed in this 1-year journey. Yeah. And just a second. And the idea here is, in addition to all the things we do in lectures and seminars, where you learn a lot of the backgrounds, fundamentals, and concepts, to allow you to apply these learnings in your project, so that we always have this kind of theoretical, conceptual, but also hands-on experience. No, Leila, maybe you would like to share about this.
Yes, absolutely. SLV for me was one of it might be subjective, but considering our class, I would also call it objectively one of the most challenging moments for us as a class, because as we arrived, we were all happy with each other. We made new friends, connected with many people from different nationalities, and started learning a lot about different cultures, languages, and we all considered ourselves very flexible people. But the moment we started doing project, a lot of problems came out, because we realized working together is actually having this capacity of building a team and building something together as a team is not as simple as it sounds, but it makes you to grow, because it's the point of challenge. So what was really unique for me in that course is that we didn't start with any lectures, but we started with ourselves. We became as a group, and we started sharing a lot of family stories, private stories, in order to understand how we act and base what we behave the way we behave. And it was at the beginning, it didn't really make sense, but as the project was going on, we realized, oh, it makes sense, because now I know why this person acts the way he acts. But definitely it's a game changer, and it makes you to grow a lot, and not only for the program itself, but for general future as we start working at the companies and building ourselves something big. It's absolutely crucial moment.
Moving on to year 2. Year 2 is structured in a very simple way. Let's start from the end. So at the end of the program, our students do an internship, or they do their own business development project. So students can choose to either do a classic internship to connect to a company, maybe to build an entry point for a more company-based or corporate career, which is what around 1/3 of our graduates are doing. Before that, of course, you have to write your master thesis. It's 20 ECTS out of 120, so that's an important element. It's an academic master thesis because we are a Master of Science, so we have kind of relatively high expectations in terms of the theory work, the method work that students are doing. And to be able to do this in term 4, you get a lot of training on research skills. And via the electives, for example, there's also a deep dive into certain topics, which can help you to identify your master thesis topics. And then another project element, the company consultancy project, which is about forming interdisciplinary teams. Here we are mixing students from different programs, which are then matched with companies to work on real life challenges. So the Impact Venture Development Project is conceptual. Some of our students continue and even build something out of it, but this is per se conceptual. And the company consultancy project is more real. Here you're working with and for a company. So this is the curriculum. Year 1, building foundations, learning how to, walk the entrepreneurial way from an empty sheet of paper, a group of strangers to your first big business pitch. Year 2, master thesis internship, and some more deep dive in selected topics. So that's the overarching storyline of our program. And here I have a few impressions. These are different pictures from different cohorts. And these are pictures from the venture project. So this is what ethnographic studies look like in our program. So you will find yourselves somewhere in the woods, maybe, observing heavy machinery at work. Others who are maybe more into agricultural topics may find themselves on a farm, learning firsthand what milk production looks like and how to improve it. Again, an agricultural topic, vegetable production. And then it's a lot about presenting, pitching, and being present, being on stage. And I mean, you can go to any program at any business school, you will always have to present a lot. You will always learn to pitch. What we included in our program is a rather special element, which is we have an actual actress who is helping our students to learn stage behavior. And that's very different from presenting a PowerPoint presentation. So our coach is helping our students to really manage a stage. And that's something I should have mentioned earlier. I mean, ESCP in its DNA, it's a European and in this sense already international business school, but it's really an international business school. I mean, we have a cohort of 30 plus students on average. And in this cohort, we always have 12 to 15 different nationalities / cultures. And there was also a very interesting moment with your group, Leila, where I planned to have some 30, 40 minutes of group presentation where you talk about your backgrounds. And I think we ended up talking 2 hours or even more. And it really felt like, oh, this is like a journey around the world because our Indian students were telling so interesting stories. The Italians, the French students, and so on was just amazing. And therefore, ECP pays a lot of attention to cultural diversity, inclusion, and openness. And this is something that we learn here in intercultural management and leadership, but also in kind of micro interventions where we have a coach helping students to deal with the situation. Like, what is it like to work in such a multicultural, international setting? How to deal with conflicts that emerge in such a situation, and how to align a team, and so on. So that's a very important element, and it's part of ECP's DNA for sure. Here you can also see that we have a rich mixture of nationalities. New Zealand, United States, this is rather an exception, but of course there's a bias towards France, Germany, and Italy a little bit, Belgium, Bulgaria, China, Finland, India. So it's a very, very interesting and dynamic mixture we're having in our group.
Berlin is a very vibrant, very vivid city to live in. And the moment you arrive, there is a saying in Germany, Berlin is not Germany. Berlin itself is another country. And that's absolutely true, because it has its unique character that you immediately start feeling the moment you move in. I've been living in Berlin for already more than 2 years. So I wouldn't call myself also a newcomer. But it's definitely, as city, it gives you a lot of fun experience, a lot of opportunities to socialize. But we do that the same way in the campus as well. We have a lot of various groups that you can join that share the same interests, as well as events that are always built and organized at the university. So university life itself also stays as vivid as Berlin. So you will get a chance to enjoy the city and the campus with your friends for sure.
Thank you, Leila, for the insights.
Yeah, and maybe one more detail. So this report I just cited, which is ranking, the successful entrepreneurship initiatives from different German universities. In this report, they also found that 60% of student founders who start the journey in Berlin stay in German. So more than half of the student founders stay in Berlin. And this is just, showing how much is going on and happening in Berlin and the richness of this entrepreneurial ecosystem. So if you're really into innovation or entrepreneurship, I mean, Berlin is, of course, like Paris or London, is really an important place.